Using Reading Strategies, Level E, Lesson 19. At the end of this lesson, you will be able to apply reading strategies to support comprehension of a literature text, set a purpose for reading to guide comprehension of a literature text, make and confirm predictions to support comprehension of a text, create mental images to deepen understanding of a text, make connections to personal experiences, ideas, and society to deepen understanding. What you should know before doing this lesson. A strategy is a plan to help you understand. To predict is to make a guess about what you think will happen. You can make connections to your own experiences, ideas, and knowledge. A mental image is a picture you create in your mind. Awesome words to look at before we read. I call these commonly misread words. The first word, theories, causes problems because of the vowel team EO. They actually sound like ear. Say the word theories. The word curious might be confusing because when we say the word, we create a y sound in there for the UR, like ur. The OUS sound on the end has a schwa sound. That's the sound that vowels make. Curious. Say the word. Bounded can be tricky because OU can be said ow or aw. In this word, we make the ow sound. Say the word. Bounded. The last word is probably the most often misread word I hear from students. Look at the word. A lot of times students are reading and not paying attention. They will add that T to the end of the word and read it as started. And they don't even notice that the sentence doesn't make sense. Would you started at by someone or would you stared at someone? Hear the difference? One sentence makes no sense. Read the word stared. Introduction. When you read a text, you can use various strategies to help you understand it. First, you can set a purpose for reading and make predictions about what you will read. As you read, you can confirm whether your predictions were right. You can also make mental images based on descriptions of the action or the setting. You can also connect what's happening in the story with something you have read about or experienced yourself. Let's look at our first story. Before I read, I want to set a purpose. When I read this story, I will read to find out who the characters are and what problem they face. I read the title and think about what the story might be about. The title is The Math Test. So I predict that the story will be about a student who has a test. Let's read to confirm the prediction. The lunch bell rang and students poured into the lunchroom. Amy dropped into her seat with a sigh. Her friend Lynn sat down. When I read Amy dropped into her seat with a sigh, I create a mental image. Details about how Amy is acting and speaking help me understand how she feels about the upcoming test. Let's read more. What's wrong? Lynn asked. I forgot all about the math test tomorrow. Miss Thomas just reminded us, Amy said. I should have been studying all week. Amy dropped her head into her hands. She had so much homework. How was she supposed to study for this test? After reading this, I can make a personal connection to the character. When I drop my head into my hands, I'm usually feeling upset or frustrated. I think that must be how Amy is feeling. Let's read the rest of the story. Lynn slid a pudding cup across the table to her. It was chocolate and vanilla swirl. That was Amy's favorite. Amy looked up and smiled at her friend. Ask your mom if you can come over after school today, Lynn said. We can finish our homework and study together. Amy took a deep breath. Lynn had a hard time in math sometimes, too. She could always explain things to Amy, though. That sounds great, Amy said. That evening, the girls finished their other homework in record time. Then they challenged each other with different math problems. They kept at it even at the dinner table. The test the next day felt like the easiest math test Amy had ever taken. She didn't get everything right, but she still did well. Ms. Thomas even wrote, "Great work," at the top of her test. Amy smiled the rest of the day. Set a purpose and make predictions. You can set a purpose for reading and make predictions about what you will read. Look for answers to questions such as, what is the story about? What are the characters like? You can make predictions based on title, text, or images. First, let's set a purpose for reading. What is something you'd like to find out about as you read? What kind of information can we look for? We will read to learn what the mystery is. Now, let's make a prediction. What do you think the mystery will be? What do you think the characters will do? What do you think they will find out? The Mystery on Culver Lane. Marcus and his little brother Max watched the house across the street. Something strange was going on. The house had been empty for weeks after Mr. Pulver moved. Now there were lights on in different rooms. Every now and then shadows passed by the windows. There were no cars in the driveway, though, and neither brother had seen anyone go in the house. What did we find out about the mystery so far? The boys are seeing strange activity in a house that's supposed to be empty. What do you think will happen next? Make a prediction. Let's read on to see what happens and confirm our predictions. They whispered about what they thought it was. Max said aliens. Marcus was old enough to know it probably wasn't aliens. Still, it was strange. Their mom came in and saw that they were still awake. She stood by the window with them as they told her their theories. What did we find out about the mystery in this part of the story? We know what the boys' theories are. Were any of your predictions confirmed? Let's read what happens next and how the mystery is solved. Those are some interesting theories, she said. Come with me. She let them put on their shoes with their pajamas. They walked out into the night. Marcus was curious. What did his mom know? When they crossed the street, they could see behind Mr. Pulver's old house. A large moving van was parked in the alley. Movers were carrying boxes into the back door. Marcus's mom smiled down at them before leading them back to bed. Were your predictions correct? To confirm our prediction, we find evidence in the text that tells us if our prediction was right or if something else happened. What lines in the story tell us if we were right or not? At paragraph 5, they see a large moving van was parked in the alley. Movers were carrying boxes into the back door, which explains the movement in the lit rooms. I wonder how their mom knew, though. But anyway, mystery solved. Remember, setting a purpose and making predictions while you read can help you focus on important details and understand the story. Create mental images to understand text. Readers use details to create mental images. Picturing details in your mind can help you better understand the characters, the setting, and what is happening in the text. Let's look at the lake. It was sunset on our last night at the cabin. I headed down the steep trail through the woods down to the lake. Pieces of wood made rough stairs. The trees towered above me. A soft breeze pushed at my hair. Picture a lake in your mind. What do you see? You might create a mental image of a colorful sky over sparkling water. The narrator mentions a trail and a dock. Look at the specific descriptions. When I picture these things, I get a mental image of a quiet, natural setting. What else can you imagine the narrator can see, hear, or feel? Can you imagine the narrator can likely feel the breeze and hear leaves rustling or waves lapping at the shore? She might see the sun reflecting off the lake and feel the rough wood and cool water on her feet. Let's read the rest of the story and see what other images form in your mind. At the bottom of the trail was a small grassy beach and the short wooden dock. My brother sat on the edge of the dock. His shoes were next to him. He dangled his feet in the water. I slipped off my shoes too and sat down beside him. We watched the sun drop lower. He looked over at me. "Race you, sis," he said. In a flash, he got up, grabbed his shoes, and bounded up the trail. "No fair," I laughed, following him as fast as I could. What images formed in your mind for what the sun looks like when it is about to set? What happens to the light? How does the air feel? When you consider this, do you feel like you are there? Make connections. When you can make connections to your own experiences and to what you know about the world, you deepen your understanding of the text. Let's read practice. Gabriel stared at the soccer cleats in the store. He told his dad that he needed those cleats. He'd never be any good without them. So what is Gabriel's problem? He wants new soccer cleats to help him play better. You know, I played soccer for many years. Sometimes I played in old tennis shoes with my friends. Sometimes I played on a team and wore cleats. I know that it takes a lot of practice to be a good player. I don't think new shoes will make Gabriel better. Even if you don't know from your own experience that new shoes won't always help you play better, you may know that soccer players must practice to get better. Think about anything you wanted to get better at. You need to practice to improve a skill. Let's continue the story. His dad told Gabriel to think about it until the next game. The next few weeks, he and Gabriel played together every evening. Sometimes they played soccer. Other times they chased Gabriel's little sisters around the yard. Once they played red light, green light, and let his 4-year-old sister call out the commands. They all laughed a lot that night. The night of the next soccer game, Gabriel played better than he ever had before. He was faster. He felt stronger. He helped his team win. He realized he didn't need the cleats to be better. He had just needed to practice, and practice could be fun. Notice how Gabriel responds after he wins the game. How do you feel after you win a game with your friends or teammates? Can you make a connection to Gabriel's reaction? Did you have to work hard to win or accomplish a goal? Like Gabriel, most people experience feelings of pride and joy. Making connections to characters as you read helps you better understand the text. Let's review the concepts we covered in this lesson. Reading strategies support comprehension. Setting a purpose for reading guides your comprehension of a text. Making and confirming predictions support comprehension. Creating mental images deepens understanding. Making connections to text deepens understanding. Be aware of commonly misread words.